Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the annual meeting, general meeting for the Communications Committee meeting. And hopefully everybody's keeping COVID safe, and we're just gonna try and get through this agenda, which is fairly lengthy, as quickly as possible. I don't know, John, do you have anything to add before we move through?
No, I think I did comment on a few procedures before the meeting. Most members are familiar with our process, but of course, if you can do your best to stay muted when you're not speaking, if we do hear any feedback, we'll just go ahead and mute you right away. So make sure if you want to speak or address any questions as we go forward that you'll need to unmute yourself before doing so.
Thank you. So the first item is the approval of the Communications Committee agenda and the supplemental agenda. So recommendation is that the members approve the Communications Committee agenda, and I believe there's an amendment to that. John?
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair, if we can just suggest on the supplemental agenda package, item 1B, the draft annual report. We are discussing it on the main agenda, so I hope that members would support us just moving that annual report up to item 6G on the main agenda package. I think that's clear, but just wanted to make that point.
Okay, so as amended, and the supplemental agenda as amended, they're both getting switched through, right?
Yes, correct.
I'm seeing a hand from somebody.
I see Charles.
Thank you.
And Byron.
Byron. So moved by Charles, seconded by Byron. All in favor? Opposed, if any? I'm not seeing any opposed. And can we get all the hands down from? All right, so next slide. Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest? Anyone? Not hearing or seeing any hands? We have none. So the PowerPoint presentation from staff will begin.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. And again, good morning. Afternoon. Wow, I said good morning. I guess I'm so accustomed to our 9 a.m. Start time. It's nice to see everyone 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. Our team update will likely be a little bit shorter than usual, and that's of course because we did have a meeting last month in February. For anyone who's watching online or interested in learning a bit more about our committee and some of the work that we do, you're welcome to watch our committee meeting from last month on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/SouthNationCA. A few comments while we get started. As usual, updates to our operations are always posted online at nation.on.ca/coronavirus. Any changes to park openings, availability, program changes, we always keep that page up to date as we move through this pandemic. To get us started this morning, I wanted to share a few updates on our conservation areas management, specifically around some of the questions we had last week, or last meeting rather. You'll know that these signs are posted at all of our entrances at all of our public conservation areas. And since our last meeting, we did discuss how we had a good or fair amount of visitation at some of our sites that are traditionally closed, Reveler, Oak Valley, Finley Creek, for example. We know that we don't maintain those sites during the winter, but as people are looking for places to go, some of these sites are still reasonably great places to go out for a walk, especially Reveler in North Stormont. So we have begun clearing the parking lot at Reveler since the last meeting, and these signs have been installed just at entrances, making it very clear that there is no winter maintenance on those trails, and it's pretty obvious why. At Reveler there's lots of boulders. It's a little bit awkward to get our groomer out, so we don't maintain those winter trails, but we are maintaining the parking lot this year, mostly due to some of that increased visitation we talked about last month. So just wanted to bring an update on that. I'll pass things off to Karen.
Thanks. Good afternoon, members of the committee. Just to remind everybody, our Maple program plans for this year, a little bit different than usual again. So you'll see the outline there. We're still committed to creating Maple education videos, and we're still committed to participating in the 2 Maple Days held on the weekend at the Oshaman Forest, and creating and promoting our social media campaign with fun facts and information, partner links, and things like that about Maple, just to remind everybody that we're still there and we still care, and we're looking forward to having people back out to the forest for real tours. Just to go into a little bit more detail in regards to the videos, some new information has come along, an exciting opportunity. We have a paid partnership, 50-50 cost share with the Ottawa Catholic School Board to create 2 videos. So those will be, as you see, one video for kindergarten through grade 2, another video for grade 3 through grade 6. The videos are going to host our professional forestry staff, cameos, if you will, as well as we're going to feature opportunities for careers in the field and showcase different aspects of the tour as we move along. It will be curriculum linked, and there will be a bilingual aspect to it. And we look forward to that. We're going to be out next week, Monday and Tuesday, shooting some of that content. So we're excited.
Yeah, and this is a good update from the report that we shared last month, where Karen outlined some of the different things that we're going to do in lieu of our on-site programming. So if you missed the last meeting, there was some good discussion by the group then. And I think, Madam Chair, if there are any questions on the Maple program, just because it's not on the agenda, I think Karen would be happy to answer them now.
It's Bill wondering, will we be able to see these videos, or will they be on our website, or what's the projection there?
I'm not sure if they'll be on our website, but we're certainly excited to share them, and we can't wait to share them out for sure. Would be pleased to share them with the committee. So stay tuned.
Byron?
Follow-up question: would it have to be on? Would it have to be at a meeting? Sorry, would it have to be at a meeting, or could it be sent just to members to see at home without being made public?
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it. We can definitely share it out to the committee members so that they can view it at their convenience, at their leisure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Byron and then Doug?
Is it our intention to collect the sap again this year and then sell it to local producers?
Yes, that's correct. The agreement that we put in place with an individual was a 3-year agreement. So Frank Herkins has confirmed again that this will be year 2 of that 3-year agreement. We went out for tender on last year, so he'll be purchasing the sap again at the site. So we are excited about that. And on the video too, I mean, this is something we were hoping to do this month. With the contract we have with the school board, we do have to provide all the educational content by March 15th. So it's a quick turnaround, and likely once we get that out from production, we'll share it around and try and use it with other schools as well. And Karen, you should mention that the distribution list that's confirmed through the paid partnership is over 100 schools, likely between this and the other partner board.
Okay, Doug?
Yeah, just a follow-up question where it says paid partnership. Does this mean that the Ottawa Catholic School Board are the only ones who will get to see this? Because if we're doing something like this, and I know it would be done very professionally, it's unfortunate that we couldn't share it with other schools just to get our message out. So I guess my question is, can we do that, or because it's a paid partnership, are we allowed to share it with the other school board?
John, did you want to?
Yeah, sure, I can take that. I brought this up with the school board as well in our partnership meeting. They were very happy to share the content. They were excited about the opportunity to partner, but we've tentatively already confirmed some participation from the Upper Canada board, and we intend to reach out to the Ottawa Carleton board next. So I think Doug will be able to see an even wider distribution of the videos. But to note, with that March 15 deadline, that was that is the week formerly known as March break. So the school board was keen to get some of that content out during that week, but we might not even have SAP running by that point. So we are hoping that if we get it out during March 15th and SAP runs the next week, maybe we can edit that video and push it out to a broader audience, and like Bill mentioned, use online as well, depending on how the product looks.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks very much.
Jerry?
Yeah,
Jerry?
who owns the copyright to these?
It will be our video, so it will be our product, and we will. It's because it's a cost share. We're still going to own all of the educational content.
Oh, good. So that means we can show them to anyone.
Absolutely, and hopefully use in future years as well. This is something we think will be a good addition to our suite of programming.
Okay.
Bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Am I correct? The March 15th deadline is no longer pertinent because they've delayed, the Ottawa board has delayed the opening of the March break. Am I not right?
Of course, I should have clarified further, because March break has been moved to April for all of our participating school boards. The Ottawa Catholic Board is looking to do some non-traditional programming in the former March break week as opposed to their regular classroom schedule. So they were trying to supplement the week with as much, outdoor or value-added educational content as possible, which is why they want to use this on March 15th with their schools that week. So the schools will be in session virtual.
Thank you.
Doug? I guess his hand just got left up. I'll take it down. Okay, go ahead, John.
Looks good. I think we'll move on.
So an update as well on the educational side of things again. We came to you last month with the virtual field trip report. And just to give you a little bit of an update on that, things are moving along well with that. We're still excited and pumped for it. And you'll see the layout of the field trip is outlined on the slide here. We've got 4 modules. So basically in the first module, we're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to get a little bit about South Nation in there, our watershed, how it's related to the Ottawa River's watershed, and how it's related to the St. Lawrence River's watershed. Then we'll discuss those 2 rivers, the Ottawa and the St. Lawrence River. And at the end, we're going to do a module where we're going to connect everything and teach the kids about how everything's connected. We just learned about 3 different river systems and how they're really connected to the Great Lakes, even though they may seem far away. So that's coming along great, and we're really excited. We will be organizing some meetings with our teacher review panel, I guess, if you will, to get some feedback, to make sure everything's in alignment with the curriculum, and to get any suggestions that they might have that make it better or stronger.
And I think on this too, Karen, this might be a good opportunity once you've met with the teacher group, that there may be some committee members who wish to volunteer to take a look at the content and provide us with some thoughts, thinking of some of our former teachers and former principals
Yes.
on the call.
Absolutely.
Taylor?
Good afternoon, everybody. So yesterday we hosted our annual flood forecasting and warning workshop on March 3rd from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Via Microsoft Teams. So this is a meeting that we host every spring before the spring freshet to sort of connect with our municipal partners and our municipal emergency management coordinators and various first responders and other agencies throughout the watershed, just to make sure that we're on the same page as we move into the spring melt, and provide some additional information on the role that we play as a conservation authority in protecting people and property and flood forecasting and warning. The day did feature presentations by SNC staff, the International Lake Ontario St. Lawrence River Board, the Ottawa River Regulation Secretariat, and Environment and Climate Change Canada.
Any questions for Taylor? Nope, don't see any. Okay, carry on.
All right, hi everyone. So this is just an update on our community-free tree giveaways that we've hosted the last couple of years. So we've reached out and connected with all of our partner municipalities, and they've all approved hosting a tree giveaway again this spring, with 6 of those municipalities confirming matching funds to purchase additional trees for their municipality. And there's already 5,490 seedling reserved for this campaign.
Any questions? Go ahead, Kelsey.
All right. So last year we did partner with the Winchester District Memorial Hospital to give trees seedlings out to nurses during the Nurses Week in May. So this year we've reached out to the Cornwall Community Hospital and the Glengarry Hospital, as well as the Winchester Hospital, to hopefully partner to give some more trees out during Nurses Week this year. Oh, sorry. And this is just an update on our community and environmental grants program. So once it was approved at our last meeting, I've had some inquiries come in about what's eligible for this year, and we've had some interest already. So I think once again this year we'll have a big uptake in this program.
Not seeing any questions. Oh, there's Doug. Go ahead.
Just this community environmental program, the Greeley Community Association is working on a proposal for the City of Ottawa about the official plan update. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the environmental work that is done in the Greeley area. And I know that South Nation does a lot of work in the Shields Creek area. So I'm just wondering if, John, if you might, or your staff might be able to put together a short blurb on what you have done and are doing and send it to us so we could include that in our proposal to the city.
Certainly, I think that's a fair request, Doug. And I think I've got a list from the last time I attended a Greeley Community Association meeting, so it shouldn't be too hard for us to pull together. Do you have a deadline in mind?
Yeah. Well, it's.
Don't tell me it's today.
No.
Yesterday.
Well, originally it was supposed to be, the city said March 2nd, but they've extended it to March 12th. So okay. We're working on it. So as soon as you can get it, would be appreciated.
Perfect. I'll send something over your way tomorrow.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Kelsey.
Just a quick update from me, and this is mostly for our committee members. You know, often through the year, staff traditionally have partnered through different co-op placement programs and mentorship opportunities when able. And certainly last year, a lot of this type of programming took a bit of a hit. We didn't have as many co-op or students through our doors as we've had before, and certainly some of our, more favorable mentorship opportunities for the conservation industry didn't happen. And so we just wanted to put a slide here to remind you that, people are still continuing to adapt virtually, and staff are still able to support, career nights, mentorship workshops, and the odd specialist high skill major panel as well. So we've got a few that happened last month. I think they added some really good value to some of our area students, and just wanted to put it on your horizon, especially as you see opportunities come through your inboxes. Feel free to loop us in and see how best we can support some of this stuff. Another quick update, and I think most of you will be aware, I did present last year to the Conservation Authorities University on our own business module within their program. So it's an executive development program that goes on for about a year, and it's a really great training and networking session for CA staff. I was invited last year to lead the communications and outreach business function presentation, and I suppose I did well enough. They invited me back again this year. So I just recently did that one. I do have a video this year that I've shared with staff, and if anyone's interested in seeing what we talked about at that level, I think it's something great that we're able to share.
Great, thanks, Sean. Questions? No. Go ahead.
Good afternoon again, everyone. So the deadline to remove ice fishing huts from water bodies in our region is March 15th, according to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. However, our staff were out last week conducting our annual ice surveys and recorded increasingly thinning ice conditions, ice as thin as 15 centimeters near several huts in Castleman. And the average across the rest of the South Nation River was about 19 centimeters. So for context, we would recommend that ice is anywhere between 15 and upwards of 30 centimeters thick for those sorts of activities. So with that in mind, we did issue a press release just asking anglers to just reminding them that, the sooner that they can remove their ice huts, the better, just based on current weather conditions and looking at the forecast as well. It was picked up across various local news outlets, CBC News, Brockville Recorder. I did a TV interview, a bilingual TV interview in Clarence Rockland on Tuesday morning. Cornwall Seaway News. So really all across the watershed, just getting the message out that the sooner that you can remove your ice huts from the river, that the safer.
Tom? Go ahead, Tom. I'm muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. I'm wondering, do we have the power to make them do it? Take the huts away?
No, as a conservation authority, we do not have the power to ask to force people to remove their ice fishing huts. What we can do is monitor which ones might remain on the river following March 15th and report that to the MNRF. But what we can do is provide the tools, the resources, and the information for people to make informed decisions and hopefully remove their ice huts sooner than later. And we have seen in the past, especially in the Castleman area, some ice huts that have remained on the river. So part of this messaging as well is to be proactive and just remind people that leaving your ice hut on the river can have adverse environmental effects as well after ice breakup. So it is illegal, but it can also be harmful for the environment. And the sooner you can get your ice hut off the river, the safer.
Do we monitor the St. Lawrence?
I don't believe that we do, although perhaps John could lend some input on that.
Our two area conservation officers who work for the ministry are responsible for this type of enforcement on both water bodies. But of course, whenever we see issues, we will report them to the CO, our conservation officer as well. And I mean, traditionally, most people are compliant. We haven't seen a lot of issues, but there hasn't been a single year where huts aren't left and they fall into the river, they get stuck in the Castleman Dam, or they get set on fire. So, I mean, we don't have a single year on record where this hasn't occurred. So this type of messaging is important. And I think of all the years I've been here, I haven't seen as much publicity as we got this year on this message. So I'm hopeful that we'll see some good compliance.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, go ahead, Taylor.
So as you know, our parks have been pretty popular since the pandemic began last year, and we've seen increased visitation across the board, steady throughout the spring, the summer, the spring, and the winter as well. So we have been receiving quite a bit of media coverage for the winter recreational opportunities offered at our parks. This was a recent feature in the January and February issue of 55 Plus magazine. Just promoting the benefits of snowshoeing in the Warwick Forest in North Stormont. As well. Oh.
Sorry, Taylor. Tom has his hand,
put
his hand back up. Go ahead, Tom. Okay, I'll put it down again.
And
you're muted, Tom.
That's an accidental hand. I'll try and get it down. Is it down?
Here, I'll put it down for you. Just a second. Yeah, it's gone now, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
That's all right. We've also seen increased reporting of our parks through online blogs as well. So, Ottawa Road Trips, To Do Canada, Francophone blogs, Au-delà du paysage. These are all online blogs that, promote being outdoors and winter recreation. And certainly we welcome those.
Carry on. I see no questions. We're good.
Yeah, so Invasive Species Awareness Week ran from February 22nd until February 26th on social media channels. And we do participate every year by raising public awareness and working to control invasive species across our 12,000 acres of public lands in Eastern Ontario. If we just go to the next slide. Just really getting the message out there that after an invasive species arrives, it can, really be hard to remove it from the environment. And just sharing some key tips as to how people can help remove or help stop the spread of invasive species. So some of those tips include cleaning your hiking and fishing gear after use, cleaning your boat before entering a different body of water, not moving firewood, using native bait while fishing and not dumping your bait bucket into the water when you're finished, planting only native species in your garden and yard, and checking your pet's paws when traveling with them. So often, invasive species, people might think that they come from overseas, but there's a lot of roles that we can play locally to help keep the spread from spreading locally. We are promoting current tender opportunities for some sustainable harvesting operations this year. So we did issue a press release a couple weeks ago, just sort of detailing how sustainable forest harvesting, does follow forest management plans, and how harvest operations are needed to help transform plantations into healthy, naturalized forests. And part of this is to promote the tender opportunities available to help contribute to the local economy, but also just raise awareness of what these harvesting operations entail. That what we're doing is not harmful to the environment. It does not have adverse effects, and really the sustainable harvesting that we're doing with the removal of select trees through a forest management prescription and plan is actually needed to help spur up some biodiversity and maintain that healthy forest.
So this is just a list of a few of our upcoming virtual meetings. So we have the Eastern Ontario First Nations Working Group on March the 9th. The Board of Directors AGM is on March 18th. The annual logging contractors meeting on April the 1st, and then Municipal Information Day hopefully happening on April the 8th.
And that brings us to the end of our staff update, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any additional questions before we move into the agenda? Don't see any. Okay. So we need approval of the Communications Committee meeting minutes of February 10th. Recommendation that the members approve the Communications Committee meetings of February 10th as submitted. Do I have a mover? Jerry moves. Seconder? Charles seconds. All in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? Seeing none opposed, it's carried. So now we move on to the election of the committee chair. So committee recommendation that committee members appoint John Messman, Team Lead Communications, as the acting committee chair. And further, that SNC Administrative Bylaw 15.3, all elections shall be in accordance with the procedures for the elections of officers to be adhered to. Do we have a mover? Moved by Byron, seconded by Charles. All in favor?
Oh, Madam Chair, we'll pause there for the presentation. We'll approve the results if that's okay.
Okay. Carry on then. I will not touch the anything.
So I just wanted to speak to the report a little bit, especially for anyone watching or any new members who are walking through this process for the first time. This is an annual housekeeping business for all of our committees. It's important for the group to elect a chair amongst their own members to serve for a term of 1 year. Responsibilities for committee chair seem obvious: leading our meeting, adhering to Robert's Rules of Order and our S&C procedures, and doing what Chair Peggy Taylor has done so far, keeping the meeting on track, making sure members are responsive, and making sure that we've got good record keeping of our decision making. So similar to years past, we do need to have nominations from the group. We do need to vote on them. This is our first time doing an election like this virtually, so we don't have paper ballots. And thinking of our last 2 years, we have had some elections with the group. So if we do run into a scenario where several members are nominated, we'll just take a quick 60-second recess so that we can put a poll up on the screen for members to participate in. So just wanted to say that in advance of us voting, just to make sure the everyone's on the same page and understands what we're doing here. And once this report is done, we will be discussing our committee membership for the year. Madam Chair, is it okay if I ask for any questions on that? I do see a hand from Karen. Did you have a question before we proceed?
Sorry, John. Are there any questions before we move on? I see Karen.
No questions at the moment.
Oh, I'll put your hand down then, okay. Anyone
Perfect.
else?
If now you could
Okay.
call for the vote to appoint me as acting chair. Yes.
All in favor? Opposed, if any? Okay, carried.
Thank you. While I won't change seats virtually, I will take over the conscious chair just for a few moments to walk us through this procedure. And I should have asked to see if anyone else wanted this chair before I took it, but here we are. So what I will be doing, I will walk through our election procedures. I will be calling for nominations. If you have any nominations, I'll ask you to raise your hand and I'll call upon you to speak. So as of this moment, I am going to declare the position of chair vacant according to SNC's administrative bylaws. I will call for nominations for chair 3 times. There's no seconder required for the nomination, though of course we ask that the individual who was nominated accept. After that, I will call for a mover and seconder of the nomination, and we will appoint our new chair to take over the rest of the meeting. So at this time, I'd like to call for nominations from current members for the position of committee chair for 2021. I see a hand from Charles. Go ahead, Charles.
Peggy's just fine by me.
Thank you, Charles. Peggy's been nominated for the position of chair. Peggy, do you accept that nomination?
Sure. Thank you, Charles.
I'm calling for a nomination for the position of chair a second time. Seeing no hands, no nomination, I will call for nominations for the position of chair a third time. Seeing none, Peggy Taylor has been nominated for the position of chair for the Communications Committee for the year 2021. I will proceed with approval of that motion, pending any words that Peggy would like to share with the group.
I'm sure.
Sorry, Peggy, I think you unmuted yourself and muted yourself.
I did, because my phone started to ring.
Oh, of course.
It's always a telemarketer, so I just tried to hang up and it won't. There, I think it's done. Sorry, it never rings, but hey. Charles, thank you for the nomination, and thank you all for your support. I look forward to another year of chairing the Communications Committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy Taylor. I will call for a mover for the appointment of Peggy Taylor as committee chair. Looking for a mover. I see Doug Thompson. Looking for a seconder. I see Byron. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Seeing none. We have approved that Ms. Peggy Taylor be elected as chair for the Communications Committee, and I'll ask that Chair Taylor assume her role and office as chair.
Thank you, John.
Perhaps Chair Taylor, if you just like to read the beginning of the resolution, and I'll speak afterwards on this one.
Okay. So the recommendation is that the Communications Committee recommends the following committee membership to the Board of Directors for 2021. Charles Armstrong, Public Citizen. Jerry Boyce, Public Citizen. Gary Barton, Public Citizen. Murray Inch, Public Citizen. Tim Jackson, Public Citizen. Jerry Couts, Board Member. Doug Thompson, past board member. Cindy Saucier, Councillor Russell. Peggy Taylor, past board member, Tom Van Dusen Communications, Byron Vigneault, public, I killed your name, Byron, I'm so sorry. Public citizen, George DeRoos, SNC Chair ex officio, Pierre Leroux, SNC Vice Chair ex officio, and Bill Smurl, SNC Past Chair ex officio.
So if we can get a mover and seconder, and then we can discuss names on the list or any changes that may be required.
Jerry and Byron, then Byron, sorry.
Perfect. So I just wanted to, speak to this really briefly, guys. Obviously, this is our annual housekeeping report. It is important that members nominate themselves. We do have a capacity in terms of membership. We could accommodate a few additional members should interest arise. And this is something that needs to be presented every year to the board at their annual general meeting to confirm committee appointments. And so at this time, the names on the list are individuals that have reached out to Chair Peggy or myself to express an interest in serving in an additional year. If you are present and your name's on here and you feel differently, this is a great time to share with the group. This is also a fair time to suggest any new members that may be watching, keeping in mind that we are able to add new members at any time at future meetings, subject to board approval. So if there is a member watching who maybe wants to wait a little bit more, get their feet wet before providing a nomination, they're free to do so. But if there is a new nomination, we're free to hear that today and hear from that individual as well and have a good discussion with the committee. So I want to open up the floor if there's any questions, comments on the list, or if any members want to speak towards their specific membership appointment.
Byron, and then Bill.
Just wondering what the amount, how many members are on the committee, John? Like, what's the total members allowed?
I believe the maximum is 12 plus our ex officio members. And our ex officio members are our elected board executive from our board of directors.
Okay.
Bill?
Yes, and Madam Chair and John, it may even be 15 plus the ex officios. What I was wondering through you, Madam Chair, to John, are we lacking any representation in any specific areas that we should be looking at? I really haven't taken a hard look at that, but one of the things we've tried in the past is to make sure we have representation from most of our different areas. And has that been done?
Certainly, and I'd like to make a comment and have Peggy speak further to this, if that's okay. We did have a good conversation earlier this week. As most of you know, Lawrence Levere, who is a former board chairman, former board member, and longstanding committee member, has decided to not seek re-election this year on our committee. And so we find it important that we find a new person in Leeds and Grenville that may be able to offer some local perspective, especially with recreation and some of the other activities that we're involved in. And so I had the discussion with Peggy, but certainly Bill or Mr. Chairman, there are other areas that could likely benefit from some additional members as well. Chair Taylor, I invite you to speak further if you'd wish.
Yeah, so I have a name to put forward, Sharon Dunn, D-U-N-N. Sharon is resides in Cardinal. She's active in the United Counties kayaking group, having started it up. She's also active at the House Lazarus, and so she sort of knows a bit more of the, is familiar with other areas within the watershed, and she's bilingual. So there you have another bonus. And I'd like to put her name forward. She's agreed to sit on as a committee member if as a public citizen, if accepted here. So she's right here, by the way. There she is.
That's perfect. And perhaps, Peggy, we can add you next to Bill as a speaker to do that nomination. Bill, do you have any follow-up questions?
Cindy, sorry, go ahead. I see Cindy again, and then I see Byron, and then Bill again. Sorry, 3 names.
Thanks.
Cindy, Byron, and then Bill.
I was just wondering, do we have representation for the new Rockland area that's now part of our watershed? So apologize if I'm missing somebody.
No, that's a great comment. We discussed this at a previous meeting as well. I think it's timely. It would be good for us to find a new representative from the Clarence Rockland area to offer some perspective there. And of course, it would be beneficial if we could find someone bilingual. So I think that's certainly an area that I'd like some support from committee members on to help recruit a new member up there.
And I just want to add, I just want to make sure, that Lawrence hears that how much we appreciate all he's given to this committee over the years. So thank you, Lawrence, if you're watching today.
Yeah, Lawrence has been very, very good. And yes. Bill. Bill Smurl? Yeah. No?
Sorry, I just had trouble getting unmuted. I'm sorry, but I missed the name of the person you're suggesting. I apologize for that. Could you just tell me again?
Sharon Dunn, D-U-N-N.
Thank you. I got the information, so that's excellent. Thanks a lot.
Any other
Peggy,
questions? Yeah.
will Sharon be replacing Lawrence?
Well, because it's the same area, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that this area's been very underrepresented for a long time, and I think Sharon would be a good addition that way.
Okay. For the benefit of the group, I can probably start looking into the Rockland area. I know quite a few people in that area, so let me see what I can find.
Yeah, that'd be great, Byron. Even a good contact at one of the service clubs up there might be helpful for the group.
I'm seeing Bill and Karen again. Thanks, Byron.
And Byron may also wish to speak with the mayor of Clarence Rockland, because sometimes it's good to just get their input as we're checking for others. I leave that with you.
Okay.
All right, Karen?
Yes, hi. I am still interested in sitting on the committee. Unfortunately, my email probably got sent a little late.
Okay, good. All right, can we add Karen as well?
Yep, I'm going to add you right now, Karen. Thanks for the nomination. And I added Sharon as well, based on your nomination. Peggy, I don't see it appearing on the screen yet, but there might be just a slight delay, but we will need to hear from Sharon just to confirm her interest. And Karen, I'll take your nomination as a confirmation of interest as well.
Just to confirm, I am interested in being part of the communications committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Je veux faire part de ce comité de communication. Merci.
Merci.
I see a hand, Karen again. Yep, go ahead, Karen.
Karen, did you have anything further to add?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe is her hand? I don't see that she's not muted, but her it's still up. The hand's still up, but
Karen, do you have anything to add?
Oh,
Karen,
there you go. Go ahead. She's frozen.
Were you asking a question to Karen?
Oh, we were just saying your hand is up, and what?
I have a question. This is the first time my internet's been able to connect. So wow. You tap the hand to put your hand up. Do you have to tap it again to lower it?
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay, because I haven't been able to find any instructions anywhere.
Well, we'll be sure to circulate a new tutorial now that potentially Sharon's joining the group as well. So we'll circulate that again for all members.
And you just keep clicking, Karen, until you take control of the meeting.
Something like that. I don't see any more comments, Madam Chair. So I am, because I don't see my list appearing on the screen. I'd like to just read it off really quickly. Obviously,
and I'll add the two new names.
Yeah, so the addition is Sharon Dunn, public citizen, and Karen Switzerhouse, public citizen, in addition to the names on the screen.
Okay. Does it need to be reread again in full, or do we have a mover and a seconder for the list?
We do, I believe, right, Kelsey?
I thought it was Byron and,
I'm muted. Yes, I have it written down.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we're just looking for a vote to confirm the list as presented, Madam Chair.
as with the two other names on it. Right, okay,
Yes.
Tom? Moved by Tom, or has he got a question?
You have a mover and seconder, so.
Oh, right, we already, so Tom must have a question then, sorry. Where did he go? Tom, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought, no, I put the hand up thinking you needed a mover. You already have the mover and
Yeah, we're
seconder.
good. Okay, all in favor? Just leave it up there, Tom. Opposed, if any? Seeing none opposed,
The
that
trick is
carries.
Thank you. And this list will be presented to the board at the annual general meeting this month.
Okay, thank you, John. Taylor, we have a request for approval of the Homeowners Conservation Guidebook. A recommendation that Communications Committee recommended the Board of Directors approve SNC's Homeowners Conservation Guidebook to be provided to new homeowners. And this was sent in draft form to members. I believe that's what I was looking at.
Yes, correct.
Do I have a mover? Moved by Karen, seconded by Cindy. Questions? Cindy? Charles?
Madam Chair, do we want to hear the presentation by staff first?
Yeah, I guess we do, don't we? Thanks, John.
Okay, so this was something that we brought up briefly at the last committee meeting, and we said we would provide a draft at this committee meeting, and so you will find that attached starting on page. My report is on page 15, but the draft document starts on page 16. So just to give a little bit of a refresher, some subdivision agreements require builders to create environmental guidebooks to the satisfaction of their local conservation authority to be provided to every new homeowner. We at SNC review 3 to 5 of these guides every year on behalf of municipalities and developers. And so the idea here is that this new homeowners guidebook would streamline efforts and provide some consistent and best messaging, and of course, and keep our brand consistent as well. You may recall that a similar product was developed by SNC in the past for the Finley Creek Village. We're making these books as new homeowners may be unaware of their environmental surroundings, nearby recreational opportunities, or even some best environmental practices. So some content within the book does include highlighting some nearby environmental features such as forests, wetlands, ponds, rivers, streams, and also highlighting the environmental and social importance of those local natural areas. Some tips for native gardening, which was some feedback we received at the last committee meeting, was more information on the importance of native gardening and native species. We also include some information on nature trail etiquette, living with wildlife, and proper lawn maintenance, such as maintaining buffers near wetlands or watercourses. We also provide some additional information on guidance on when to obtain a permit from the Conservation Authority for any development projects. This is especially important if the new subdivision is near provincially significant wetland or a shoreline or an ecologically sensitive area, or some additional, and also we provide some additional resources and links to help people stay informed and get involved. So the guide here in its draft format may be edited as needed for future and would be provided to builders so that they can include specific information relating to their communities, including some additional area maps and important natural features. So the guide here is, as I say, it's in its draft format. I believe John sent out an email to solicit some additional feedback from committee members, and we did receive some feedback. And so all of that has been packaged together and sent to our graphic designer for an updated draft, which we would be happy to share once available. But for now, this is the draft document attached. And I don't know if we're going to run through it all right now, but feel free to go through it, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, that's a good comment, Taylor. And this is a working product approval. This is something that may look a little bit different for every community or for every builder. This is something that we'd like to provide to our developers so that they can add their local features, their community maps, and so on. So we're looking for a working draft approval on this product and welcome any questions on it.
So do I see any, Charles? And then.
Yes, sorry, I was just wondering, is there or will there be a French version as well?
I think right now that these books are being developed, or we've been asked to create these books for new subdivisions in primarily English areas. However, as these may have to be offered in bilingual areas in the Prescott and Russell region, should those opportunities arise, then absolutely, I would think that this would have to be translated. But I will ask John to comment further on that as well.
Yeah, no, certainly, of course. But we want to make sure we get a good working draft approved in English. Of course, knowing that our French text will take up a little more space, but we'll get that French version drafted right away. And both versions would, of course, be provided within the City of Ottawa.
Cindy?
Yeah, thank you. I love it. I think it's a really great initiative. It's kind of like a step, an additional step to the Healthy Home Guide that we did years ago. And but I also, just want to comment that it's really important also that maybe we even do a builder's version, for the developers, because we're educating the homeowner, but we also need to educate the developers on, doing native plantings in their subdivisions and things like that. So native trees, and because sometimes what we're seeing is monoculture, one species and the wrong species. So again, if we have an infestation, an entire area is wiped out. So I'd like to see, even a smaller edition maybe for the developer's guide as well. Just an idea.
I think that's a great comment, Cindy, and certainly something we've noticed, and I'm sure Karen could speak to with our ash tree replacement program in the city. Sometimes you'll see entire subdivisions that were only planted with ash trees, and of course that can create a lot of challenges when we've got an invasive beetle coming through taking all those trees down. So I think there's work that we can do there. I think there's definitely some product development that can go on, and I really appreciate your comment on the Healthy Home Guidebook. If you go to page 26, this is where we would include a list of resources within this guide. This list is obviously an example. There's many more resources we would provide, and our Healthy Home Guidebook product would be a perfect one to include as well.
Yeah, good idea. Bill Smurl?
Will it be on the website as well?
Yes, the version that would be publicly consumable will go on the website. So something very similar to this one.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Murray?
Yes, Madam Chairman. On page 18 of the package, the community-based natural resource management, I just have a comment about the presentation of the authority and its role and its competence. And I think the second paragraph, starting off, working on behalf of the province and the municipalities, that paragraph should be really reworked to emphasize more on South Nation, not that it's serving municipalities in the province, but we as an independent agency. And secondly, get in the idea we have a lot of technical scientific competence that we can address for everyone, and that this whole package is for the public, and we're there to serve them. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray.
I think those are good comments, Murray. I think when we get our last round of edits incorporated, we'll try and make an adjustment to this area, and we'll circulate it to committee members for feedback.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? It's carried. Thank you, Taylor. Kelsey, update on the Municipal Information Day. Recommendation is that the Communications Committee receive and file SNC's plan to host a virtual 2021 Municipal Information Day. Mover and seconder. Moved by Karen, seconded by Murray, thank you. Go ahead, Kelsey.
All right, thank you. So since 2011, SNC has been hosting a Municipal Information Day for partner municipalities. So this Information Day is targeted towards planning and building staff, but anyone is welcome to sign up, and it often includes politicians and other municipal recreation and economic development staff. So last year, we had to cancel our Municipal Information Day due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're hoping that this year we will be able to host a virtual Municipal Information Day for staff to attend, because this is an important day for us to engage with our partner municipalities and let them know what we're doing. And we also will have collaborations with them on some presentations to kind of see what's going on in their municipality and the different planning files that they deal with. So we're hoping to, it says in there April 15th, but since then we've talked about hosting it on April the 8th. Just as a tentative date. So usually the topics for that day include, well, for this year it'll be adapting to COVID-19, the Natural Heritage System Study, septic and regulation program updates, floodplain mapping, record conservation area use and tree planting, as well as municipal agreement requirements. So we're hoping to host it as a half-day event from 8:45 until 12:15 through Microsoft Teams. Usually we have about 75 participants, but hopefully hosting it online we'll be able to have even more staff attend the day. And we will have both recorded and, well, pre-recorded sessions as well as live sessions. So yeah.
Thank you, Kelsey. Any questions for Kelsey? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried.
Thank you.
The next item is a request for approval seeking quotes for the 2021 golf tournament. Recommendation is that the Communications Committee recommend to the Board of Directors that staff proceed with tentatively planning a golf tournament in fall of 2021, including seeking quotes for a venue in the jurisdiction. Further, that the committee directs staff to provide an update at the next meeting. Do I have a mover? Byron. A seconder is Jerry. Go ahead, Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as you may recall, last year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the committee had directed SNC staff to cancel the annual Friends of SNC golf tournament, which was an unfortunate circumstance of many of the ongoing pandemic. Although the golf tournament has traditionally been considered a fundraising event, primarily, the cancellation of the tournament last year and other various in-person meetings and events meant that staff, municipal, and community partners missed valuable face-to-face networking opportunities, to stay safe, primarily. So golf courses will be open for the 2021 season, and staff are seeking approval from the committee to proceed with tentatively planning the Friends of SNC golf tournament and seeking quotes for a venue in the jurisdiction. One of the discussions we had last year upon canceling the tournament was that seeing it as it is a fundraising revenue, it would be difficult to raise sponsorship funds. So we do recognize that the current economic hardships faced by local businesses, and we acknowledge the potential for less fundraising revenue, but we still consider the event worthwhile as it is revenue neutral, and it may be one of the only opportunities this year to safely bring some staff, municipal, and community partners together outdoors. Staff would follow the committee-approved tournament format from 2017, which is 18 holes, a morning shotgun start, and a breakfast included, but of course this may be modified to comply with any COVID-19 health and safety measures enforced by the golf course. Some examples that come to mind may be perhaps takeout breakfast or not being able to share golf carts. However, that's all speculative. I do not have any restrictions in front of me at the moment. Staff would also proceed with a new committee-approved registration fee of $120 per person to issue donation receipts, which was approved by the committee in 2019, and new committee-approved sponsorship packages from March 2020. It's worth noting that the tournament may not proceed if it's deemed not viable or by staff, or may be canceled by staff in the event of another emergency declaration, a lockdown, stay-at-home order, or any other circumstance relating to COVID-19. We're seeing, every week things seem to change, and so there may be a proactive decision that needs to be made this summer. So cancellation clauses will be negotiated with potential venues. And as per SNC's purchasing policy, just a reminder that the contract would be awarded to the lowest quote received. We would be happy to provide an update on the golf tournament, including the venue selection at the next committee meeting in June.
Okay, thanks, Taylor. I see Byron has a question.
The good news, Taylor, is that the vaccines could be fully implemented by the time we have that tournament in the fall.
Yeah,
so,
that's a great point, Byron. Even if a large majority of people over a certain age are vaccinated, and then we may see some restrictions loosen at the time. But as I say, it's almost a week by week thing. So
here's hoping.
Here's to hoping.
There is hope.
There is hope.
Any other questions for Taylor before I call a vote?
I'd like to comment, Madam Chair, if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
And this is just to say this isn't something that we would begin planning tomorrow, but obviously understanding that it does take time to get quotes and to negotiate agreements with venues. And so that's why we felt that it was important to bring this report in March. It's still very early in the game. We don't know where the summer or fall will bring us, but we did want to get some approval and consensus from the group that we were good to proceed with getting some quotes, thinking about an option and tentatively scheduling it pending anything that's going on. And of course, I think Taylor mentioned this, the biggest value for us was some of that missed face-to-face interaction, and the Municipal Information Day in itself is a great example of where we used to get a lot of those interactions. So we feel that it's important, and this is just to help us plan out our year in advance.
I see Tom has a question or comment. Your microphone is muted. Tom?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
We discussed this a little bit last time. We if we're returning to the golf tournament as a fundraiser, does that mean the art auction won't happen again?
That's a great point, Tom. And I think that we're still looking at doing some sort of online fundraiser in the fall, and whether that, that's another art auction exactly as it was last year, or perhaps we take more of a focus on artisan and woodworking products. I think we discussed that a little bit at the last meeting. But no, this would not be a replacement for any potential online fundraiser that we would host later this fall.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed? It carries. Would anyone be interested in a bit of a 5-minute break right about now? We're an hour and a bit into the meeting. I see John's kind of nodding. Tom is. Okay, so
I never want to influence the committee's decision, but I would love a break if others are agreeable.
So if everyone is agreeable, my clock here says 2:07. So why don't we take a break till 2:15? That gives us 5 minutes. And all right, Tom. Everybody back?
Karen here.
Okay, are we ready to go? I don't
Yep.
see John. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back, Madam Chair. I think we're good on our end.
Okay. All right, my tea didn't boil, so.
Barely enough time.
Darn, it wasn't fast enough. Didn't move fast enough. Okay, so we're back, and we have the next item is the request for approval for the 2021 youth fish camps. So recommendation, the Communications Committee recommend that the Board of Directors approve SNC's planned delivery of the 2021 recreational fishing programs, subject to local public health restrictions. And Karen, you are up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My report is found on pages 32 and 33. So as you know, every year we hold the annual youth fish camps. We were unable to do that last year, obviously due to COVID-19. So we're hopeful that this year we'll be able to do that, to hold the camps. We're recommending to host 5 camps for 2 days each. We'll have enhanced health and safety guidelines. There'll be a few differences as well in the layout of the programming. So you'll see the list of dates and locations in the report. We'll also mention that it might be preferable that we're also considering a 1-day format instead of 2 days, based on the above locations and dates. Depending on the situation, I guess, with COVID at the time, local restrictions, things like that, to reduce exposure and contact. So the program delivery will be the same as usual, the same experience for the youth. Teach them how to fish, how to identify fish, maintenance and care of fishing equipment, regulations, safety, and all that things. Some of the differences that we'll see this year, if we are able to go ahead with our camps, are that we'll be doing screening of participants and instructors. The number of total participants will be reduced to approximately 10 per camp. So that's the same 10 every 2 days if it's a 2-day format. We'll be maintaining the same ratio. That would mean 5 participants to each instructor, so a total of 2 instructors. Obviously, we'll have the additional PPE and cleaning and sanitization equipment on hand. We will make sure that each participant is sort of making sure that they're only handling their own equipment. If there is tools and equipment that the staff instructors do need to utilize, we will make sure that they're kept aside and that we're the only ones holding those and utilizing those. The other thing will be that obviously we'll be using the same instructors for both days if we do proceed with the 2-day format. The sad part about it, I guess, is that we would run the program without volunteers and without summer student support. So that means we wouldn't have our friends over at the Ottawa Fly Fishers or the water rangers who often come out and support us and are a huge part of the program. So we'll miss them. So that's pretty much it. We'll have bagged lunches provided, so no more sharing of a pizza or everybody grabbing chips out of the same bag or whatever. And just social distancing will be practiced, and work plans and program materials will identify risk management and safety steps.
And I'd like to add a comments if I can.
John, are you adding to that?
Yeah, first I just wanted to mention, while pizza is always great, we always do healthy lunches for the kids. So definitely wanted to give a plug for healthy lunches. I mean, maybe between staff, we've put our hands in the same chip bag, but definitely not with our youth participants. So just wanted to make that clear. And I also wanted to comment on approval of our plan. Similar to what we did last year, we would want to meet with with each of our partner health units first, share the plan with them and get any feedback that they wanted to provide on the plan before we proceed. We did do this last year in consultation. This was actually led by the Leeds and Grenville health unit and a few other stakeholders and other agencies with similar programming. At the time, our proposed plans were approved, but similar to how we discussed at the committee, our comfort level wasn't quite there at the time to proceed with the camps, especially considering, you know, not having volunteer support or summer students and some of those additional measures. But we are looking forward to hopefully going ahead with this camp this year, and we welcome any feedback from the committee on that.
Cindy?
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just had a question, or I guess a concern. Like, I know we talked about it the last meeting, was raising the cost to per child. And then I was reading that, you know, we're not supplying them with a rod this year. We won't have the fly fishermen, you know, and again, we have less staff. So I'm just wondering, are we still going to go ahead with an increased price for the fish camp?
I'll take that question, Karen. We did have a discussion at the staff level, Cindy, just looking at the different costs associated with the program. The largest ones have always been, like you mentioned, the fishing rod. Then also the lunches, surprisingly. Healthy lunches are a little more expensive than our chips and pizza, but are important for our program. Staff do feel confident with the fee that we've established. It is very difficult without the use of volunteers to you know, run the program, but we would still go ahead and say that for any youth that does not have a fishing rod, that we would supply them for sure through this program. But if in any areas that we can, where the participants already have rods, that will definitely be something we're really going to take a closer look at to help keep costs down and keep the fees the same this year.
And also for COVID, I guess, is so that they have their own rod. I guess that's part of it.
Absolutely.
For protocol. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other questions? Seeing none. All in favor?
Sorry, Madam Chair, we didn't get a mover and a seconder at the start of
I didn't?
that one.
Shame on me.
No.
Shame on me.
No, I'm surprised at that too.
Doug
Okay, I'm
Thompson,
fired. Fired.
Doug Thompson
I
will
see.
move.
Okay, Doug moves and Tim seconds. Thanks, Kelsey.
Sorry,
All in
thank you.
favor. Okay, seeing some hands going up here now. Okay, thanks. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, it's carried. All right, I'll do better this time. Request for approval of the 2020 annual report. Recommendation that the Communications Committee recommend that the Board of Directors approve the 2020 annual report. Do I have a mover? Charles. Do I have a seconder? Murray. Okay, go ahead, Kelsey.
All right, thank you. So this is the report that we had moved the draft version of the annual report up from the supplemental, if you wanted to have it in front of you. So each year we have our annual report that highlights SNC's programs, services, and accomplishments throughout the preceding year, as well as providing partners and stakeholders with information regarding financial performance, board of directors membership, as well as project updates. So there's a list here in the report of the stories that we've included in the 2020 annual report. So our featured topics include the planning and development, record development files and review timelines, the reconciliation and climate change tree planting, going virtual amid the pandemic, and the jurisdiction expansion in Clarence Rockland. Then we highlight the number of conservation area visitors and our most popular parks, as well as some of the work that we did throughout our conservation areas. So we've highlighted the parking lot expansion at High Falls, the hazard tree management in W.E. Burton, and restoration work through OPG at the Tweed Conservation Area. We talk about the use of our SNC lands, our forestry and stewardship initiatives, including our tree planting program and our clean water programs. And then we have our select project and program updates towards the end, where we chose to talk about our tree pickups, the septic program, our online art auction, the new conservation area in Augusta Township, the tree donations for the frontline workers, as well as the community environmental grants. And we also include the budget from last year, as well as our board of director membership. on the last page. So we've put the the most final draft version of our annual report that was there in the supplemental agenda that I sent out the other day. So feel free to take a look. If you have any questions or comments, you can let us know by sending an email, or if you want to bring it up now. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
I think, Kelsey, if that's okay, and I should have done this at the beginning of the presentation, and I apologize for that, but I will just switch my screen share so I can put the draft up on the screen while there are questions, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Yes, please, thanks.
Okay, just stand by. Does everyone see my PDF screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this was the cover. I'm sure most members have seen. These were the two feature studies, or stories rather, that Kelsey mentioned. First on our development record, and then on our reconciliation and climate change tree planting event that took place in Shanley. We've got an update on some of our virtual adaptations to several of our programs, a quick story on our jurisdiction expansion. And then I'll just scroll through some of those highlights. And then of course, Madam Chair, if you can field questions, and I can always scroll to the screen where the relevant area is.
I'm not seeing any questions as of yet. Murray, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chairman. I just would like to make a general comment and say I'm really pleased with the report and the fact we're providing some really solid information. There have been years in the past where we had a more pictorial presentation with very little information, and I think this is really reflective of what we're doing and how we're affecting our community and the lives of people in it. So thank you very much to the staff.
Thank you for those comments, Murray.
I will say, Madam Chair, that we're very appreciative of all the comments that were sent in by committee members. Of course, at any time, feel free to reach out, especially on some of our feature story highlights. It's always a bit of a challenge to fit it all into a booklet and decide which stories to tell. It's something that we as staff have a lot of back and forth on, but we do feel pretty strongly that this selection of topics and stats gives a pretty fair, look at some of the work that went on last year, even through the pandemic. I will say there are a few changes that I've made to the document since sending it out. They are very minor, but we would circulate that updated copy to members after this meeting. And I did want to point out that while most photos are either before the pandemic, you'll see this one with the February 2020 date. Obviously, we've got some optic concerns on masking. So we will be replacing this first photo. I'm going to take that photo again, probably this afternoon. That was taken in January. So we're going to swap that one out. But we feel pretty good about some of the other dates that we've included within the product.
Great. Thank you, John. Any other questions? Okay, I think I did read the recommendation. All in favor? Thank you. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that passes. Okay, next item, supplemental agenda. Let me get rid of that bar. Update, Natural Heritage System, public engagement. Recommendation that Communications Committee receive and file an update on the Natural Heritage System communications plan and public engagement activities. Do I have a mover? Moved by Doug, seconded by Karen. Go ahead, Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as many of you probably have heard already, that the United Counties of Prescott and Russell and the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry partnered with South Nation Conservation to complete a natural heritage system study on their behalf. So draft NHS maps were prepared by SNC to the satisfaction of both counties and were shared broadly and used during the public consultation sessions. Public input was sought on the proposed mapping and policy framework. This report is just going to highlight some of the public engagement activities and resources that we've created to engage with our area residents in the natural heritage system. Although this is a planning study, really there's a large public engagement component to it as well. So we did treat it as a planning study and a public engagement exercise. First of all, many of you, a few of you, I think, tuned into our public information sessions, which we hosted on February 9th and 10th via YouTube, and they were viewed approximately 300 times. One comment that we received in the last meeting that, you know, the number of views is pretty impressive considering, you know, we would have, you know, we might have had trouble bringing that many people together in a community hall on a cold February evening. So that's certainly quite impressive. We did publish advertisements in various newspapers throughout Eastern Ontario to promote the NHS in those public engagement sessions. Some of those newspapers included the Mooresburg Leader, the Glengarry News, the Cornwall Seaway News, as it is distributed throughout SDNG as well, the Chesterville Record, the Russell Villager, the Agri News, all the papers in Édition André Paquette that are distributed throughout the United Counties of Prescott and Russell, the Review, and online on Nation Valley News as well. Staff also developed a smartphone application via Survey 123 for local residents to report their local wildlife sightings to help inform natural corridors and wildlife corridors, natural linkages and wildlife corridors, pardon. We did receive about 30 submissions throughout the watershed, and you can see them highlighted on this map here. And here are actually some user submitted photos. Various residents submitted photos of fishers. So these guys can look cute, but they're quite vicious. So I hear. I've never encountered one. But go to the next slide, please. And moose as well. So this was surprising to see. I didn't expect to see so many submissions of moose and pictures of moose, but they are out there. They're just hard to find sometimes. So this is quite impressive as well. We did develop some media graphics to support the NHS. This one in particular is a media graphic that we developed to support fragmented landscape versus connected landscapes. We also developed an online story map, which is accessible at nation.on.ca/NHS. This story map is a more interactive tool to learn more about the NHS and go through the mapping. So it takes only about 5 minutes to navigate through. It's very interactive and very visual with lots of pictures and graphics. It certainly tells a good story and an interesting one as to why it's important to protect our natural heritage system to create a more resilient landscape. We ran a social media campaign throughout the entire month of January. So many of you who follow us on social media may have noticed that every day throughout the month of January, we posted posts. We posted in both French and English to promote the natural heritage system. In total, we received over 88,000 interactions on these posts. So lots of people clicking on them, commenting on them, liking them, wanting to know more about the natural heritage system. So lots of engagement and overall big success. It also generated lots of news coverage throughout the watershed. We did issue a press release at the beginning of January on the natural heritage system and the upcoming public open houses. And it was picked up by a variety of outlets throughout the watershed. Here's just a few clippings to sort of show some of that. There's a clipping of Alison McDonald. She was featured in a television interview in Clarence Rockland, on site at the La Rose Forest, actually, with the reporter to sort of talk about the natural heritage system, you know, in a core natural area, which is very unique. And of course, Tom, in the Ontario Farmer, talking about the natural heritage system. And of course, we always appreciate that support, Tom.
Any questions for Taylor or not? Yep, Bill, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Not a question, just a comment. John and Allison did the presentation and conducted the online presentations on, I think it was the 9th and 10th of February, and they were excellent. They were detailed, they were passionate, they were interesting, and they did get some questions, etc. But it was I watched 1.5, and they were excellent.
Thank you,
Thanks
Bill.
for that,
Appreciate
Bill.
that.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make one if I can, Chair.
Sure.
Just that this report will also be used to inform the appendix that we need to provide to the counties on this project. We will be required to summarize all of the interactions that we had with various people throughout the watershed to inform this study. And so many of the things reported on by Taylor in this report will be reported directly to the county.
Thanks, John. Bill, go ahead. And then Doug. Oh, Bill, did you? Oh, his hand. Doug?
No, I forgot to lower my hand. Apologies.
Oh, no problem. Doug?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted, John, if you could keep track of the attendance at the virtual meetings. I think that's something that we should have in our records, because as was mentioned, the turnout to these are really quite remarkable. So I think it would be a good piece of material for us to keep on hand and just to be able to shout out when the opportunity arises.
Certainly, of course, that's a good stat to include, and even something as simple as website visits as well. I think in the report it mentions that over 1,000 different people at some point in the month of January visited our webpage to learn more. So that's a really great stat as well, and we're very proud of the work that went into this project and of the response we've received.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Thank you very much. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, it carries. So we're at the roundtable discussion. As usual, we'll just combine them, the community engagement activities and any recommendations that folks might have for Friends of SNC. I'll just, I don't want to miss anyone, so it's kind of, I'm going to start at the top of my alphabetical list here. Bill.
Madam Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to just take the slideshow down so any folks at home watching could see our videos.
Okay.
Just a warning in case anyone needs to change their hairdo or something, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd like to change mine, John, but
some of us don't have as many opportunities as others, I think.
Just gonna get it to me here.
There we go. I think everyone sees everyone.
Okay, so I'm going to just start at the top of my alphabetical listing on the right. And if I miss anyone, please don't be shy and just yip at me at the end. Bill Smurl. You need to unmute yourself, Bill. You're still.
I was having trouble doing it. I apologize for that. No, I don't have many comments to make at this stage, except to say that I'm really pleased. This isn't a community comment, but I'm really pleased with the histories or the annual reports of each of our committees and of South Nation. And it's been mentioned earlier that these are important for the communities, and there's a heck of a lot of good information there. So don't just look at the one for this committee, but glance at the ones from the other committees as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Now, I have a broadcast guest. I'm not sure who that is. Is that a member?
That's a software that we use
okay,
to,
that we'll
to
just
push
skip
this
that
out to
broadcast guest.
Yeah, you
Byron.
can skip him.
Byron?
oh, I'm good, Peggy. Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing happening there, eh? Charles, what have you got in your area? Are you muted? Yes, you're muted.
Okay, I think I got it this time.
Okay.
No, there's very little going on right at the moment in this area at all. Cindy may have more.
Okay. We'll put the pressure on Cindy. Doug, have you got anything? Doug?
I just wanted to compliment John and his staff. They do a remarkable job. The communications committee is all the committees are good, but the communication committee does, I think, excellent work in promoting the South Nation. They have a tremendous staff, and I just want to, when I have the opportunity, remind John he's going to send me some information about Greeley. And the other thing, John, we are interested in Greeley in tree planting in relation to the climate change that we're encountering now. So that's something that we would like some thought to put out by South Nation to see if they could help us in that matter.
Certainly, of course, and feel free to connect anytime, Doug. You know how. But in thinking of that as well, we've recently put out a few funding proposals for some additional reconciliation and climate change tree planting, and there's one that we might have some success with later this fall. So it might be a good opportunity to talk about, areas within the jurisdiction that may benefit from some additional planting. So we might be able to take up that conversation again later this year.
Thanks very much, John.
John. Gary?
I just have a question about the homeowners conservation guidebook. How is that circulated? Is it just online, or is it out there in hard copy somewhere?
Yeah, great questions. With the Finley Creek one, for example, and some of our longstanding members will remember that one, that guide is physically provided to new homeowners for new builds. And so in the city of Ottawa, it doesn't always happen, but on most subdivision agreements, the city and the Conservation Authority include a condition that requires any new homeowners for new buildings be provided guides like this. So it doesn't always happen if you're buying a home that's been occupied before, but we would promote that online and through any networks, real estate networks that we could. But certainly where it's a requirement through subdivision agreement, that's provided in paper copy.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry?
No, nothing to add. I kind of echo Doug's comment about the good work the communications staff do. That's excellent stuff, John. Well done.
Certainly
Thanks,
is.
guys.
Karen?
Yes, I'll admit I haven't been very far from home in the last year. One thing I want to do is make a comment on basically commend South Nation for really the excellent job they've done this year in carrying on and carrying out their programs, because it has been a challenging year, given that a lot of the things that South Nation has done has involved working with people. And of course, this year, you couldn't do it that way. But the speed with which you actually were able to adjust and to continue the work, congratulations. You guys did a fantastic job.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Karen. Murray?
Yes, Madam Chair. The last meeting, you'll recall, I reported that a neighbor had been clearing the municipal access road to Oak Valley Park so people could get in during the winter time. I was by on the weekend, and some benighted soul had come along and has taken down the municipal street sign for that road. So Jerry Boyce arranged to have it put in years ago for us, and that sign is just gone. So, well, a lot of people appreciate our work. Not everyone does.
If it's not one thing, it's another, Murray. We'll see what we can do to get that sign replaced. I wonder if the no winter maintenance sign, did you notice it on the weekend while you were there? I hope that wasn't stolen as well.
Well, the winter maintenance sign isn't out on the main road in. It's past the park.
So it's safe.
It's safe as far as I know. Good. I didn't look for it.
Bill, did you have a comment there?
Yes, I wondered if Murray had reported it to North End Ass.
I haven't, no.
Could you so do?
Okay,
Nothing like a things to do list, Murray.
yeah, okay.
Cindy?
Thank you. Yeah, I just, well, last week I attended the invasive species series, and I watched the Pragmates one, and it was excellent. And then last Sunday, I attended through the David Suzuki Foundation. I'm a butterfly ranger now. You have to call me Ranger Cindy. But there was 700 attendees online, 1,000 registered, and they were registered through 130 communities and 251 schoolyards. So it's doing plantings and promoting pollinators and things to attract butterflies to our community, because as we all know, the numbers are down, and especially monarchs. The news was not good on the monarchs that night, but anyway, so I'm going to do that this year, and there's monthly meetings on with the David Suzuki Foundation and training and what have you. So it's kind of fun, something to do online, and then also to do something positive in the community. So that's it. Thank you.
Cindy, now you got butterflies and fish in your portfolio. What's next?
That's right.
Tom.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. I wanted to raise the Maitland Restoration Project. I sat in on a presentation by the River Institute. I think it was last night. I knew something about this because I wrote a story about it last summer. There's a guy named Philip Lang who has basically taken over this whole collection of buildings on the riverfront at Maitland. And not only is he doing a restoration project, he's doing a conservation demonstration site, rather elaborate. But I wanted to know from South Nation. South Nation is listed as a partner, what our involvement is, number one, and number two, is that within our jurisdiction?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
great question, Tom. It is in our jurisdiction, and we have had several meetings with Philip and some of his team in the past few years. I think it was maybe 3 years since he's acquired the property, and definitely they've got some ambitious plans there, but I think many would agree that there's some good community and environmental benefit that might come out of that. They have submitted a few funding proposals to some different community funders. I'm thinking of the Eco Action Fund, for example. That was a good federal initiative that helped us do that edible tree planting buffer project a few years ago. So they've applied to that fund and a few others for the restoration work, and we've agreed to provide letters of support for some of that work. Of course, we will be heavily involved in any work that takes place there. A shoreline permit is required for some of their proposed work, and I actually had a meeting with some of their team members, I think maybe 3 weeks ago, just to give us a brief overview on some of the things they'd like to do. And they have since established a non-for-profit. I believe it's called Door Number One.
That's
and
right.
I think through that group, they're hoping to, co-host some environmental workshops with the college and other agencies. And I think this might be the best place for us to partner on some initiatives there. And I think we might see a future community environmental grants application to support some of that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Tom, for bringing that up. That's great. Anyone else want anything further to add? And I just want to echo everything that's been said here, and just when we think about people and the South Nation, we have been able to motivate more people to get out this past winter just through the parks. And I mean, we may not be meeting them face to face, but they're certainly making very good use of all of the trails that we've got out there. And staff have done a fantastic job letting people know that they're there, they're open, and welcome to use them. And all of the work that you guys have been doing is greatly appreciated by this trail user. So anyway, I will.
Thanks, Peggy. Yes. I wonder, Madam Chair, if I could just ask a few questions of the group.
Yep.
just on the community roundtable, I'm wondering maybe if Byron could comment briefly on what the ice jams look like up near Plantagenet. It's something that as staff we're watching very closely as temperatures warm and snow jams or ice jams rather become a concern. And of course, Byron lives so close to that jam. So I'm wondering if maybe he has any comments he wants to share on that. And I'm also wondering, Murray, if you wanted to after that, just comment on whether or not you guys as the Oak Valley Pioneer Park volunteers are planning on getting together for an annual meeting. I know our next committee meeting won't be until June. And so I wonder, if you guys need anything from us to help prepare for May, and if you've got any thoughts on that, or if we should chat offline. And then I wonder, Peggy, too, if your friend in the room might want to share a few comments with the group while she's here.
Sure. You do?
So, John, I'm right in the middle of the ice jam where my house is located. The ice jam happened from the bridge here in Wendover, the main bridge on the 174, and the pillars where that old railroad bridge used to be. Now, the ice built up I would say about 4 feet high, but the snow has since covered everything. However, once the thaw comes, we're a little worried that if that ice doesn't get through the pillars, we're going to be in deep trouble in this particular section of the river. So that's where it stands right now.
Yeah, the concern certainly shared with staff. It's something that we're watching carefully, but I hope, Byron, because you're so close, if you see something,
we're sitting on it.
Yeah. I think likely when temperatures start warming again, we'll keep in contact. We have another committee member on our Fish and Wildlife group that I think must be upriver from you as well, and so he's been good to send us some photos. So
yeah, Kirk is 4 houses down from me.
Oh.
And for anyone that's watching
I've been
online,
in touch with Kirk as well.
If you ever see something, whether it's potential for flooding, ice jams, questions, feel free to email waterwatch@nation.on.ca. And what that will do is it'll actually send your photos and emails directly to whoever is on the flood forecasting team, including the assigned duty officer. So once things start to melt, obviously our spring freshet and flood forecasting is a big priority for us coming up in the next few weeks. So if you ever see something, waterwatch@nation.on.ca, send it over there, and whoever the duty officer is, we'll see that right away. But of course, you're always welcome to just shoot me a message and I'll loop you in.
Okay. Speaking of which, did you get the pictures that I sent you for that location?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah. It looks nice. I think it'll be a great spot for summer.
Yeah.
Just want to add that the Water Watch is applicable to the St. Lawrence River as well as the Ottawa River and the South Nation River. So anywhere within our watershed that anyone sees any water issues, flooding, et cetera, to make sure that they use that email.
Thanks,
I think I saw Bill's hand was up, and I thought I saw another hand, but it's gone now.
I was wondering if Murray might want to provide an update too after, if he's still here.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe Murray first and then Bill, if that's okay, Bill?
I don't think I'm up. I didn't mean.
Okay, I'll put your hand down. No problem. Go ahead, Murray.
Thank you. We haven't said anything in stone yet, whether we'll try and do a meeting in May, which is the normal annual general meeting, but I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks about our plans.
Sure, thank you, Murray. That'd be perfect. I just don't want to forget and want to make sure that we can do our best to help you guys out.
I'm still on for donuts and muffins, Murray.
You're on? Thank you.
Does that mean Doug's bringing them, or are you making them, Mur?
No, Doug usually brings them. I've suggested a full lunch, but I've never convinced him yet.
Times are tough.
So, okay, have we got anything further on the agenda before we look at our next meeting dates? And have you got those to put up on the screen, John?
I actually don't have those to put up on the screen, but I'll maybe ask Kelsey just to confirm for the group what we have tentatively booked for our next meeting.
So it is June the 16th at 9 a.m.
Okay.
is our next meeting.
And to confirm, that meeting will take place virtually in the same format. And as discussed at the last meeting, we would like, I think staff and committee members agree, if we're able to do a July meeting, we could do it on site. And Alfred Plantagenet has been suggested as a good venue for that. So pending any changes or updates, I think we'll likely discuss that at the next June meeting, how we could do an in-person meeting for July.
Okay, great. Thanks, John.
Sounds good.
Okay, so do we need a motion to adjourn now? I think so. Moved by Byron and seconded by Doug. So all in favor? And none opposed that I can see. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and spending your afternoon online. Have a great.
Our new addition going to make Sharon going to make a comment though? I thought.
Oh goodness.
Sharon said she didn't want to make a comment.
Okay.
But I'll tell you one thing that she is going to comment on when you're done is that we're going to be talking about a poker run. and here's
well, we can't wait to hear the update on that.
On the recreational.
So anyway, okay, great. And I guess we're signing off here.
Yes, thanks guys. We'll see you again in June. Keep the lines of communication open. You'll see some updates from us in the next couple days. So looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Okay, thanks, John.
See you then, guys.
Bye, everyone.
So we're staying on, else.
Bye all.
Yes, please,
Yeah,
Cindy.